Hey, Greg.
Hey Greg, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How's your foot?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
You have to have one of those boots.
I've got two of them actually. One on both feet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can walk very short distances, or for the most part, utilizing a wheelchair right now.
Okay. Okay. How long is that supposed to last?
We had the follow up today, and he wants me to come back next week, and we're going to reassess next week. So hopefully, we'll start physical therapy after that.
Okay. Well, very good.
We'll go from there.
Good. Awesome stuff. There it is.
We can't hear you, but I can see you tapping your mic.
I gotta go home and cook dinner. Okay. Greg, you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Craig?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Okay, you're muted. Hold on.
We're having a multitude of issues today,
Uh-oh.
starting with home printers.
Uh-oh.
No, starting with City Hall printers.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Cats.
You figured it out?
Do you have cats?
No,
I
you
have
do.
cats, yes. There's a little neighborhood cat that's got.
Say
a
something,
collar,
Craig. Oh.
Hello.
And he's adopted our house.
Well, I know I can change short hair on the speaker, but.
Why are we having the meeting over the phone?
Now Craig still says it's
I know.
muted.
We can't hear that.
Yeah.
Put him on speaker.
Let's see if that changes it.
Now you're not muted.
Is the TV turned up?
I can hear just fine.
Yeah, it's the audio inside city council chambers. I'm on the phone with Mindy right now trying to get her to sort it out.
Can we turn it a little bit? Yeah.
Do both of them have to be on?
Yeah, they were both on.
That one wasn't on when I came in.
There we go. Mine's on. Well, it was on. I had both
Okay, you
on.
turn the other one off.
No signal. It just, I'm not touching it. No
It's
signal.
Halloween. Ooh. She killed the meeting.
No, I turned on this other one and then it turned off the other TV. I don't know what's going on with it.
Okay. All right. Can they hear me now or no?
Yeah, but you have to have the Blu-ray capability and
Can you hear me?
then play DVD.
No.
A DVD.
Okay, select the speaker again and change the speaker now and see what it does.
And then you turn them.
Do we need to turn sound on?
Turn the TV.
Try again.
Oh, there's something.
Okay. Okay.
Quick.
You did that, didn't you?
What did I do? Did I pause it? Hi.
It started working. so
It
you-
wasn't working. Oh, it was waiting. They were waiting for me.
Okay.
Yes, good job.
Now we're working.
Oh, sure. Quick, start the meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
I will call the special meeting for Tuesday, October 19, 2021 to order. The time is 6:34. Item 1 is new business, consideration of possible action. Item 1, approved work authorization agreement between the City of Everman and Trinity Consultants Incorporated for the purpose of researching, developing, and creating an AWIA Emergency Response Plan, ERP, referred to as proposal number P 214405.0067 in the amount of $12,500, item number 22015.
I'll make.
All right. Everybody can hear me okay correctly? Right?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Good evening. Thank you again for coming together on a special session. We seem to be having a lot of these over the last 6 months. This became an issue because of a legislative update change. This past legislative session, the Senate passed Senate Bill 3, which amended the Texas Water Code. This was pretty much in response to Winter Storm Uri that required all utilities to enact an emergency response plan. We are one of those affected utilities and therefore have to comply with this no later than December 31st. That became known to Gilbert as a part of the whole TCEQ update, and he began working with our city engineer, Greg Saunders, who is also here joining us this evening. And Greg Saunders recommended that we work with Trinity Consultants Incorporated, who got us that attached proposal back to develop this emergency response plan for the $12,500. So I did provide several different attachments. A couple of those attachments were the proposals from Trinity Consultants, and a few of the other ones were from the North Central Texas COG. They kind of gave you background information regarding Senate Bill 3, just to give you the information that you may need to make the decision on moving forward on this. Just for complete transparency, the emergency response plan is not something that is extremely difficult to do. We probably, if we had enough staff members on hand and enough time without all the other projects on hand, this may be something that we could do in-house. However, with the overwhelming amount of projects that we have ongoing, Gilbert is stretched to the max overseeing everything that's happening right now. We also want to make sure that this plan is done correctly and is a thorough plan and not something that we have to come back and fix or correct later on. So I think it's a good recommendation to move forward with contracting a consultant to develop this plan to comply with the Senate Bill 3 that was passed.
Hey, Craig, I got a little bit to add.
Go for it.
This ERP is also an EPA requirement. Even before the House Bill 3 came out, there's going to be a few other things that the House Bill 3 is going to kick in. That's due in, I think, March of next year. And Trinity's going to get you some more information on that. It's the regulatory stuff required by TCEQ is going to come along in March.
So I know that Mayor Pro Tem's next question is going to be how we're going to pay for this.
Well, we had
And-
$5,000.
The answer for that is I believe we're going to have to take this out of water reserves to cover this. We do have sufficient amount in water reserves to do this, but it is one of those necessary things that I think we have to tackle. We did research the potential use of ARPA funds, but it does not appear that ARPA funds would be an eligible use for this. particular project. So I think we're going to have to dip into the water reserve fund to make this happen and make a budget amendment. However, it's not the $13,000 is not an amount that puts Susan or I in any kind of shock or concern about the budget to handle that.
How much do we have in the reserve?
Well, currently we have about 53,000. But there's actually more than that. That is what we currently have that's liquid. Now, we are waiting on reimbursements from the Texas Water Development Board.
Mhm.
And when we get that, we're looking at more like a little over $1 million.
You're talking water reserve?
Water
funds?
reserves,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Greg, my question, or Craig just said that there's some other mandates that were gonna come into play in March. So I mean, do we need to get started on those immediately, or it doesn't give us a lot of time?
We need to start on this right away. I had actually originally proposed this to go on to the November session, and I got a worrisome email back from the consultant that wasn't going to give him enough time to get this done before the deadlines. So that's why we had to call a special session tonight, was to try to get council approval. We're going to email this to him tomorrow, and I think he's going to start on it tomorrow if council approves it.
Well, what I'm referring to, Greg said there was some other items that were coming up that were due in March. Is that in addition to what we're looking at here?
It will be additional, and I'm not sure what the cost of that might be. Again, I'm going to look to Trinity to help us with that. They're geared to do this kind of stuff. He's an environmental engineer that's certified with TCQ to do this.
Yes.
But that's something that we're gonna need to start off
We
pretty
don't
quick
do it.
in order to get done by that deadline.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If this
Thank-
passed in June, why are we just now hearing about it?
We just now went through the TCEQ initial survey that kind of prompted all this stuff to start popping up on our radar. You have to remember, Gilbert has only been here just a couple of months, and he started with an assessment of our system, and we went a pretty good length of time without a director of public works to oversee all this. So we're behind on a few items that we're having to play catch up on, and Gilbert's doing a tremendous job of playing catch up. But on this particular item, we have to reach out for help on the consultants and get some help for him to get this one done.
The fund that this is going to be coming out of, is this the one that we had to get the water rate increase on?
It would be, yes, it would be water fund. That is correct.
Okay, now, the question I have is, taking money from the water fund to replace for this, is there a way that we could use the ARPA funds to reimburse, give back to the residents some of that we've had to get the water rate increase on for the utilities? Does it qualify for that?
This particular
They
study
does-
does not qualify for for the use of ARPA funds. It wasn't
Right.
to qualify for the use of ARPA funds. It had to fall underneath the drinking water state revolving fund guidelines that they published out. And this was not one of those items on there. It did not allow for technical assistance to comply with EPA regulations. It allowed for improvements, but it didn't allow for simple compliance regulations out there.
What about for as far as utilities?
Maybe I'm not understanding the question.
Okay, we had the water rate increase because we were low on funds, correct? So with that being said, that's going to take out more money for this. So with the ARPA funds, do we qualify for the utilities where the residents could be reimbursed for that we've had to increase?
I don't know that we could utilize ARPA funds. Well, I know that we couldn't necessarily use ARPA funds to do a direct reimbursement to the citizens. However, what we have been doing and what we've been striving to do is utilize ARPA funds to improve the water system, to lower the continued cost of maintenance and future costs there. So hopefully it doesn't impact our water accounts anymore. So we can limit the amount in the future that we have to increase that. The increase that we did was a necessary increase just to make it manageable and get our system to where it needed to be. Our goal moving forward is to never, ever do an increase like that again. We will evaluate the water rates every year. We'll evaluate our system every year and make those small adjustments and increments that that can be managed by the citizen. And maybe even with all these improvements that we have going on, if the system gets to a point where we're seeing a lower cost in maintenance, which would be an ideal goal, then we might even get to a point where we can actually lower our rates rather than raise the rates. But I don't know that with the I know for a fact with the ARPA funds, there's no way that we could do a direct reimbursement to the citizens right now.
30 years. Back.
Yeah.
Catch up.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we have any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve agenda 22015.
Second, go ahead, Judy.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Poll the council.
And I will not be asking John, just so you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Item 2, approve awarding the construction contract for the PD Wells site ground storage tank improvements to the evaluated low bid provider of Drake Construction for a total base bid amount of $402,862 as recommended by city engineer Greg Saunders, PE, item number 22016.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
This is the one that came under what we've approved for, right?
Yeah, Mayor, if we can go ahead and we'll let Greg go ahead and explain this one to you.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, this is to replace the two tanks that we have on the PD well site. We're gonna tear both of those down and build one big one. We opened bids on this last Tuesday. It's been a week. I got it on the special meeting agenda because I'm trying to get this thing awarded pretty quick because these tanks, these galvanized tanks, when they order them now, there's a 4-month to 5-month time frame from ordering it before it shows up on site. Well, I want to hurry up and get this thing ordered so that it can be built and we can be operational before our peak use water starts next spring. I got 4 bidders on this job, and my low bidders, Dake Construction. They work out of Pantego. They did a job very similar to this of mine in Crowley a few years ago. And this is the kind of work they do, smaller infrastructure type work. And they beat my estimate. They're the only ones that did. I was going to be low bidder if they didn't show up, but I've talked to them since the bid opening, and they're confident in their bid still. I think the other guys are just high.
Okay.
So I'm recommending we award it to Dake, and I'll get this thing executed, get the contracts executed with them so that we can get this tank ordered and get them started.
Yeah. Craig, are these both items I can sign off on?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay.
When would they start?
Well, we're going to start the process of the tank drawings as soon as I can get a contract with them. Now, I'm not going to start them on site until that tank's almost here, because I don't want them to take the old tanks down and then I sit there with an unusable site while we wait on this new tank to show up. So we're gonna start the contract now, but you really won't see any construction for probably 3 months until we got a good date on when this new tank's coming and they can move in and tear the old tanks down.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item, consent agenda item 22016.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
So motion been made and second. Any further discussion?
Yes, a couple of questions. Greg,
Yes,
there's a $228,000 difference in these bids. I'm concerned that Dake is gonna come back later and say, oops, we actually need oversight, overcost, blah, blah, blah. What's your feel on that?
well, I've already talked to them and they're confident that they're not going to have that problem, that they do not have that problem. And in the case, when the contractor ever pulls that, we take their bid bond, which in this case is $402,000, 5%. You know, it would cost them a $20,000 bid bond to walk away from this, and they're not going to.
Okay.
Really, the range to the next bidder is 113,500.
Mhm.
And we're not gonna have to deal with that. Dake's gonna do this job.
Okay.
Okay, so if three other bids were a lot smaller than this, is there any particular reason why?
If the three others were lower? or-
No, you said they were higher, correct?
Yes,
Right, so if the other three around the same range or what I'm asking is why were they so low?
Miss Allen, these bids were actually, all of them were pretty far apart.
Okay, okay,
The closest in range was roughly a $40,000 difference between, and that's the closest between the highest two.
yeah,
okay.
We do competitive seal bidding to where these folks that submit these bids do not see what each other are submitting. And the hope in that is that we get a good price and a good deal. And it's
Yeah.
just worked out in our favor on this one that we found. We have one that submitted lower than what was estimated by Greg initially.
yeah. And if you look at the low two, they're really the ones that are competitive. The two high bids they're really not tank builders. They do them, but TTE and Dake both actually make a living building tanks. And so it's really, our range is 402 to 515. And my estimate was 462. So I was about halfway in between these two. Dake's a little low and TTE's probably a little high. But Dake's hungrier than TTE is, and Dake's closer to. TTE comes out of Austin, so they're gonna cost a little more than a local guy.
The other thing too to highlight is that I do want to just commend Greg on these bids. Every bid proposal that Greg has submitted, we've come in under on since I've been city manager. He does a tremendous job at doing these estimates and then providing a contingency on top of that. So Greg's numbers and estimates when he's estimating for these bids are pretty spot on. I think this is the first time this is probably the closest bid I've seen come to what Greg's estimate was. The previous projects we've had and jobs that we've had have come in well under. So I do want to highlight that he's pretty spot on and knows his stuff when it comes to these contractors.
Thank you.
And we appreciate that too, Greg, very much.
Very much.
Did you have another?
No, that one, he answered my other question.
Any other
Thank y'all
questions?
very much.
Any other questions?
No.
Would you poll the council?
Yes, place one, aye. Place two,
Aye.
place four,
Aye.
place five,
Aye.
place six,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Thanks, Greg. Craig. So.
All right.
Greg.
Man, you guys make it difficult. So,
You
Well,
should hear the phone conversations between us when we call each other.
Yeah. I've known people all my life that call me Craig, so if you'll just say Craig, we can both answer.
I'll just say Saunders and Spencer. So,
Okay.
hey, Craig, do we have anything for executive session?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, it is 6:52. We are adjourned.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
All right, thank you very much.
Hey, Craig, I'm gonna sign that stuff tonight.
Yes.